While SpaceX's Starship rockets soar through the testing milestones at breakneck speed, Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin just pulled off what looks like a strategic masterstroke. Their New Shepard rocket has once again crossed the Karman line, completing its 10th human spaceflight and 30th mission overall on February 25th. Remarkably, just 3 days before SpaceX's scheduled launch. This isn't coincidence, it's becoming a pattern. Blue Origin consistently positions its launch dates suspiciously close to SpaceX's major events. They did it with New Glenn, launching early in the morning before Starship could take the afternoon spotlight. Now they've done it again with NS-30, seemingly racing to claim the spotlight first. But here's the burning question. Does this preemptive launch strategy actually matter in the greater space race? Or is it merely a hollow victory for Blue Origin? While Bezos celebrates sending wealthy passengers on brief suborbital journeys, SpaceX has completed nearly 400 Falcon launches, deploying Starlink satellites, supporting NASA's scientific missions, and regularly transporting astronauts to the International Space Station. Welcome to Elon Musk 24 Hours. Let's dive right in. Blue Origin's NS-30 mission lifted off precisely at 9:49 a.m. Central Standard Time from their West Texas launch facility. The entire journey lasted just 10 minutes, with the capsule touching down at 9:59 a.m. During those brief moments, the crew reached an impressive altitude of 107 kilometers, officially crossing the Karman line, the internationally recognized boundary of space at 100 kilometers above Earth's surface. The mission's parachute system performed flawlessly this time, deploying what Blue Origin's team proudly described as a gorgeous jellyfish that carried the capsule safely back to Earth. With this flight, Blue Origin has now flown a total of 52 individuals to space, including 4 who've made the journey twice. But here's where things get interesting. This launch wasn't just about sending more wealthy clients to the edge of space. It represents Blue Origin's attempt to demonstrate rapid reusability by launching the same rocket twice in 1 month. Their NS-29 mission flew just 21 days earlier, on February 4th. It's a clear message to competitors, especially SpaceX, that Blue Origin is capable of quick turnaround times, a crucial capability for supporting NASA's ambitious Artemis program, returning humans to the lunar surface. While NS-30 was primarily a joyride for paying customers, NS-29 carried something more substantial: 30 scientific payloads from NASA research institutions and commercial companies. That mission used the capsule's reaction control system to spin at approximately 11 revolutions per minute, simulating lunar gravity, about 1/16 of Earth's gravity, for the scientific experiments on board. This contrast highlights a fundamental difference in approach between Blue Origin and SpaceX. Bezos' rocket company has focused significant resources on suborbital tourism, essentially brief up and down flights that barely cross the edge of space. Meanwhile, SpaceX has completed nearly 400 Falcon launches, regularly sending satellites to orbit, supporting NASA's most ambitious scientific missions, and transporting astronauts to and from the International Space Station. This disparity has sparked debates in the space community about what truly constitutes space travel. Many argue that simply crossing the Karman line for a few minutes doesn't qualify someone as an astronaut, a title Blue Origin proudly bestows upon its paying customers. As one critic put it, just because someone travels on a plane doesn't make them a pilot. Real orbital spaceflight requires reaching speeds of at least 17,500 miles per hour to maintain orbit around Earth, far beyond what New Shepard achieves. The passengers aboard NS-30 represent exactly the demographic Blue Origin is targeting. Take Leigh Bess, for instance, a venture capitalist who has built cybersecurity giants like Palo Alto Networks and Thescalere. This was actually his second trip to space, having previously flown on NS-9 back in December 2021. Then there's Yus Kaya, a Spanish television personality and adventurer who hosts several TV shows and has conquered extreme challenges from the 7 summits to the Dakar Rally. Fellow passenger Sagal Elaine Shahi brings a scientific background as both an entrepreneur and physicist, while Dr. Richard Scott, a reproductive endocrinologist and professor, represents the medical field. Rounding out the crew was Tushar Shah, a partner at a New York quantitative hedge fund with a PhD in high-energy experimental particle physics from MIT. The ticket price? While Blue Origin doesn't publicly advertise a fixed rate, reports suggest each passenger paid around $1 to $2.5 million for their few minutes of weightlessness. For context, the very first seat on New Shepard was auctioned for an astronomical $28 million, with proceeds going to Blue Origin's educational foundation. This exclusive pricing structure reinforces what critics call the rich kids fantasy club nature of Blue Origin's business model, a stark contrast to SpaceX's focus on reducing launch costs to make space more accessible for scientific and commercial purposes. While both companies talk about democratizing space, their approaches couldn't be more different. Jeff Bezos founded Blue Origin in 1999 with a broader vision than just space tourism. His stated goal is ensuring humanity's long-term future by expanding into space, moving heavy industry and energy production off Earth to preserve our planet. New Shepard represents just the first step in that vision, a testbed for the reusable technologies and operational efficiency needed for more ambitious projects. The rocket itself stands approximately 60 feet, 18 meters, tall with a diameter of 10 to 12 feet, 3 to 3.6 meters. Its spacious crew capsule offers 530 cubic feet, 15 cubic meters, of pressurized space, enough to comfortably accommodate 6 passengers with room to float freely during the weightless portion of the flight. The vehicle is powered by a single BE-3 liquid rocket engine, generating 110,000 pounds of thrust using liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen as propellants. A typical New Shepard flight follows a precisely choreographed sequence. The rocket ascends vertically for about 150 seconds before main engine cutoff. At this point, the crew capsule separates from the booster and continues upward, crossing the Karman line and providing passengers with approximately 3 minutes of weightlessness, enough time to unbuckle, float around the cabin, and take in the spectacular views through what Blue Origin claims are the largest windows ever flown in space. Meanwhile, the booster autonomously returns to the launch site, using aerodynamic fins and drag brakes to maintain stability during descent. Just before touchdown, the BE-3 engine reignites, slowing the vehicle to around 6 miles per hour, 9.7 kilometers per hour, for a gentle landing on its retractable gear. The capsule descends separately under parachutes, touching down in the West Texas desert, where recovery teams quickly retrieve the passengers. What makes New Shepard particularly notable is its fully autonomous operation. No pilot required. The entire flight is controlled by onboard computers from launch to landing. This design choice not only reduces complexity, but also eliminates human error in flight operations, a significant safety advantage for a vehicle designed to carry paying customers. The crew capsule itself is engineered with passenger comfort and safety as top priorities. It maintains a pressurized, climate-controlled environment that protects occupants from the vacuum of space while ensuring comfortable temperature and humidity levels throughout the flight. Its emergency escape system can activate during any phase of the mission if sensors detect an anomaly, rapidly propelling the capsule away from the booster to safety. Those massive windows, comprising about 1/3 of the capsule's surface area, provide passengers with unobstructed views while controlling heat and protecting against harmful radiation. It's this combination of safety features, autonomous operation, and spectacular views that Blue Origin hopes will justify the substantial ticket price. For Blue Origin, New Shepard serves multiple strategic purposes beyond revenue generation. It demonstrates the company's technical capabilities to potential investors and partners, including NASA and the Department of Defense. The operational experience gained from these suborbital flights directly informs the development of Blue Origin's more ambitious New Glenn orbital rocket, which aims to compete directly with SpaceX's Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy in the satellite launch market. The rapid reusability being demonstrated with flights like NS-29 and NS-30 is particularly critical for Blue Origin's future plans. Reducing turnaround time between launches dramatically lowers operational costs, a lesson SpaceX learned years ago with its revolutionary approach to landing and reusing Falcon 9 boosters. By proving they can launch the same vehicle twice in a single month, Blue Origin is showing they're making progress toward the economies of scale needed for sustainable space operations. This launch scheduling strategy, positioning Blue Origin's flights just before major SpaceX events, reveals the intense competitive dynamics at play in today's commercial space race. It's a calculated attempt to grab headlines and public attention before Elon Musk's company dominates the news cycle with its next breakthrough. The question is whether these tactical media wins translate to meaningful strategic advantages in the longer term. When comparing the two companies' accomplishments, the contrast remains stark. SpaceX has revolutionized the orbital launch industry, dramatically reducing costs while increasing reliability and mission frequency. Their Starlink constellation is already providing internet service to remote areas globally, and Starship, if successful, promises to fundamentally transform humanity's capability to access and utilize space. Blue Origin, meanwhile, has perfected the suborbital tourism experience and is making steady progress toward orbital capabilities with New Glenn. Their BE-4 engines will power not only their own vehicles, but also United Launch Alliance's next-generation Vulcan rocket, a significant contribution to America's launch infrastructure. The direct competition between these billionaire-backed space ventures has accelerated innovation throughout the industry. Technologies that might have taken decades to develop under traditional aerospace procurement models are now being rapidly iterated and improved through private investment and competitive pressure. This benefits not just the companies involved, but the entire space ecosystem, from scientific research to national security. For the everyday space enthusiast watching these developments, the question remains, does Blue Origin's approach represent genuine progress toward a spacefaring future? Or is it merely selling expensive thrills to the ultra-wealthy, while SpaceX does the heavy lifting of making space truly accessible? The answer likely lies somewhere in between. What's undeniable is that Blue Origin's successful NS-30 mission represents another incremental step forward in commercial spaceflight. Those few minutes of weightlessness experienced by the 6 passengers may seem trivial compared to SpaceX's orbital achievements, but they're part of a longer journey toward normalizing human spaceflight, transforming it from a rare government-sponsored endeavor into a routine commercial service. The passengers who stepped out of that capsule in the West Texas desert joined an exclusive club that's gradually expanding. Each successful flight builds operational experience, demonstrates safety systems, and moves the industry forward. Whether Blue Origin's strategic timing vis-a-vis SpaceX launches represents genuine competition or merely clever marketing, the result is more people experiencing space firsthand. And that's something worth celebrating. So what does Blue Origin's tactical victory really mean in the grand scheme of space exploration? While they successfully launched before SpaceX's scheduled test flight, the difference in mission scope remains undeniable. One company is perfecting brief suborbital joyrides for millionaires, while the other is actively building the infrastructure needed to make humanity a multiplanetary species. This isn't to diminish Blue Origin's achievements. Their technology is impressive, their safety record solid, and their long-term vision ambitious. But in the race to redefine humanity's relationship with space, launching first doesn't necessarily mean winning. True victory will be measured in lasting contributions to our spacefaring capabilities. Perhaps the real winners here are all of us, spectators to this extraordinary competition between visionary billionaires pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Each successful launch, whether from Blue Origin or SpaceX, expands our collective presence beyond Earth and inspires the next generation of engineers, scientists, and explorers. What do you think? Is Blue Origin's strategy of launching ahead of SpaceX a clever competitive move, or just empty posturing? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this analysis of the commercial space race, hit that like button and subscribe to Elon Musk 24 Hours for more breaking coverage of SpaceX, Tesla, and the technologies shaping our future. Don't forget to share this video with fellow space enthusiasts in your network. Until next time, keep looking up.